Hey, this is not Conrad Thompson. My name is Derek Sabato, and I'm here with the Hall of Famer himself, the voice of wrestling on this special edition of Grill and JR, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Better than Conrad. Conrad's ill tonight. Nothing serious. A little sinus battle, and the sinuses are winning. So Derek's gonna, as he said, going to sit in for Conrad tonight, and I look forward to that. We're going to talk about Dynamite, tonight's Dynamite. It just was
Yes,
over
sir.
a few minutes ago, and we're going to touch on Survivor Series '99. We got some news and notes to talk about. Things are going on now, so all is good. We got the specials on the barbecue website, so we got a lot to talk about. A lot of fun things to go over. We're going to take Dave Silva is here, and Reliable, and he's going to help us navigate through some questions from some of you. So, going to be a good show. It's going to be fun. We'll make sure it's fun for you.
Absolutely.
So Derek, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. It's an honor to be here with you, sir. And also for those of you who are wondering, we are live right now on grillandjr.com, our YouTube channel. So for those of you listening on your podcast platforms, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell when we go live, talking all things Jim Ross. And Jim, tonight was a big episode of AEW Dynamite. I got a chance to watch the show. I know you got a chance to watch the show. And what an open it was. Hangman Adam Page, Christian Cage taking on Jay White and Juice Robinson. It's been a battle between all four of those men, and I thought it was a tremendous matchup. What did you think of it tonight?
I thought it was a good opening, real good opening. There's so much talent available to Tony Khan and AEW's creative group that we see a lot of tag matches for that reason. And I'm not against tag matches. Don't get me wrong. But if you're saying, well, why are so many tags? Well, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the main reasons that there's so many tag team matches. But nonetheless, yeah, it was a solid match, no doubt about it. I have really been impressed with the kid from Virginia, Adam. God damn it, just lost my train of
Hangman
thought.
Adam Page.
Yeah, Adam Page. There's too fucking many Adams in this show. First of all, way too many. Somebody needs to drop their Adam someplace. But it was I've been really impressed with him lately. He's evolving. He's finding himself, something he's comfortable doing, how he presents himself, how he walks, how he talks, his facial expressions. So Adam Page is a star in my eyes, and he'll be wrestling Jay White on the next pay per view, which I think will be could be a show stealer. Full Gear is going to be loaded. It's got so many good matches. It's hard to figure out what's going to close. But you kind of know what's going to close: Moxley and Orange Cassidy for the title. But this kid's really come along, and his efforts are great. And Christian's is probably underrated as a villain, as a heel. But
100%.
he's really good. He's really good too. So one of my old signees from way back when.
Yes, sir.
At $240 a week.
Speaking of really good, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher had a tremendous segment tonight on AEW Dynamite. When you see the future of AEW, it's hard not to think it's Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, right?
Well, they got a shot at it. They're in the hunt. Just get in the game, get in the hunt. And they both have navigated their way into doing that for two young guys, especially Fletcher, because he just kind of arrived seemingly here lately. Ospreay's a star. He's an international star. And they're buddies, or were buddies. They'll have a hell of a contest. It'll be one of the better matches of the entire night. Another reason to join us on in Newark a week from Saturday. So yeah, it's Ospreay and Fletcher, and they have good chemistry. That's why I think their match will be a pleasant surprise for a lot of folks. They got great. They understand each other's styles or each other's timing. So I think they'll deliver the goods without question.
Speaking of the goods, Powerhouse Hobbs has returned to AEW, and he made an appearance tonight with Mark Davis making a save against Brian Cage and Lance Archer. How much does Powerhouse Hobbs lead into a locker room as the big, tough powerhouse dude that he is? He's just a tremendous talent, is he not, JR?
Yeah, he's a very good talent. I've been a supporter of Powerhouse Hobbs since he really started evolving, and he's another guy that's just coming back from an injury. He's healthy. He looks great, strong as an ox. So I'm glad that he's back on television. It'll help the TV, and it will help Hobbs obviously to get more TV exposure. That's the key thing. Guys should not keep track of how many wins or how many losses they have. They should focus on the match quality that they're in. So maximize your TV minutes is a good way of looking at that deal. So yeah, Hobbs is a star. He's going to be. I'm anxious to see where he ends up at the end of his run. Somewhere down the road. He's a young guy, so he's still got plenty of time left. But I'm a big fan of his and a proponent of his work. I think he can do. He has the ability to be much more significant in the big picture than not. Really talented. Good signing. That was a good signing by Tony Khan. And Willie has made sure that his game evolves. He is a student of the game. He's a wrestling fan. That always helps. So I'm pulling for him too. It's amazing how many great young talents this roster has right now. Amazing.
Agreed. Speaking of young talents, the segment with Willie Hobbs bled right into Roderick Strong and Lance Archer in that Falls Count Anywhere match. You talk about someone who's got a powerhouse presence, no pun intended, of Lance Archer. But Roderick Strong was able to get the win. And as we will discuss in a minute, he is going to Full Gear and he'll be across the ring from NJF. Roderick Strong, great match tonight. I thought it was the perfect segue and it was a great way to keep TV moving. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's a good segue. It's logical. It's organic. Anytime you can create organic segues in your show, you're good. I thought last week's Dynamite was a really good show, but believe it or not, I thought there might have been too much wrestling and not enough talking. Tonight, the vignettes that they aired, AEW aired, and there were a lot of little interviews, segments backstage, things of that type. I thought they were excellent tonight. So whoever's writing that stuff, and I imagine the talent are doing a lot of it. If I was a talent and I was on the booking sheet, I was going to do a promo. That would be that's great news. That's an opportunity. It's you're in a bump free generally. It's easy on your body. So, but the vignettes have been very good on AEW, and I've enjoyed them. They tell a story, and they make a little bit of sense. I think Excalibur is going to come up with some new adjectives to describe Renee. But anyway, what did Excalibur say about Shivani tonight? Did he say anything good about him when he pitched to him? He said something.
I didn't hear any funniness tonight. It felt like a more serious show with the underlying storyline of Jon Moxley taking over TBS, the Superstation, and we did see the Death Riders tonight take over. Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, Pac, Marina Shafir. That group has really given a shot in the arm to AEW, some top level heels. And you've even seen the growth of Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy as top level baby faces. There's really nowhere else to go but up with them. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they got a lot of upside left in them. Marina is a key element to that whole package.
100%.
I'm not saying she's the key element, but she is a significant contributor and a key and an element important element to that whole unit. It's an interesting addition. It's timely. She's been waiting around for her opportunity since who knows when. And I think the role she's in right now is really perfect for her. So that's a good job booking, a good job of writing. But yeah, that's we got to kind of, at least for me, I'd like to see us clearly define Wheeler Yuta's role and to let him be that heel that he can be. He can be a hell of a little chicken shit heel. He's not going to overpower anybody, but he can beat anybody. So I like his presence and his contributions, and of course Moxley will get a chance to close the show on Saturday. I'm assuming that he'll be the guy that closes the show with Orange Cassidy. So there's just no reason they won't have a great match.
No.
If they didn't have a great match, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I just would, because Orange is a lifer here, AEW. Moxley's has established himself as one of the building blocks of the whole company. Another run with the title, another run to establish that title as something significant. He's doing that, and he's in some circles. If he was in a territory in the Northeast, he'd be a character babyface, kind of like Austin. But he's working his ass off to be a heel, which is what he likes being and what we need him to be. So my assumption is they'll close the show. I haven't been told. I'll be there. If they're closing the show, I'll probably call it, and that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I think the other guy that impressed me tonight that stands out that just popped in my head is Takeshita.
Oh God.
I think Takeshita's missing something when Don Callis is not there. But that's neither here nor there. His presence is good. There were a couple of camera angles of him tonight that kind of showed his largeness. He's a big bastard.
Yes, he is.
And athletic as hell. So in the old days when Japan was really cooking, it isn't right now. Not really cooking like it was. Right. When you had two major companies making millions of dollars. You don't have that right now. But he would be a sought after signing by both those, by All Pro Japan, or whatever it was called, and New Japan.
Yep.
He's a star.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll continue to treat him as such. He needs to be. He's another guy that needs to be in singles.
Yes. His match tonight with Adam Cole, I thought, was one of the better singles matches that told a story, that showed what a babyface should do, bump and feed. Takeshita with that Blue Thunder Bomb. I actually got to referee his match at Ric Flair's last match, and I didn't realize how big he was until I met him. And he has a tremendous presence about him. And I think there's unlimited growth in Takeshita and his future. And also now Adam Cole's loss results in the fact that Roderick Strong will be taking on MJF one-on-one at Full Gear. And Adam Cole will have to wait just a little bit longer to get his hands on MJF. That story, which has grown over the last 18 months, there's a climax coming, and I don't know when, but I think it's going to be really good when it does.
Yeah, if you find out, don't tell me. I'd rather be surprised. Death Riders, interesting way of repackaging somewhat that group.
Agreed.
And it's all because of speculation of one of the key members leaving.
Yeah.
That finished tonight. The House of Black guys and FTR.
Mm-hmm.
They had a good match. The crowd seemed to be a little tired and not into it as much as I would have liked. They got into it at points, and it sounded really good. Guys don't understand, how the house is and how much they're motivated. Really helps us at home watch the show with a little bit more attention, because you're hearing all these noises and the crowd cheering and all that stuff. it can't be all left up to the announcers.
Yeah.
That's not fair. But Takeshita's a stud. He's a big stud.
Yes.
Hey,
It's tough to follow everything that was on AEW tonight. There was a lot. Britt Baker was on TV tonight.
Yeah.
Great win over Penelope Ford. Swerve and Leo Rush. There is a lot going on in AEW right now. And it is well more than an action-packed 2 hours. Considering the fact that they continue to hit their overrun too. Tonight was a long show, but it was a good show.
Yeah. I didn't think it was too long. 2 hours and change, 2 hours and 6 or 8 minutes. And that used to be kind of Monday Night Raw time, best as I recall. And I worked on a bunch of them. So
yeah,
I'd rather go have the overrun and go over do 206 or 210 or something, as opposed to doing 3 hours. That's just me.
agreed.
I'm a cranky old man that don't want to watch the wrestling for 3 hours or anything else, maybe other than football. Nice little cameo to talk about, to build up a little bit, the Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander match to pay-per-view.
Yes.
And that's going to be a fun match. It's an interesting contrast in styles because Statlander is bigger, stronger, probably just as fast as Mercedes. She just doesn't have the experience that Mercedes possesses.
Right.
Camille there, she can always play a vital role, good, bad, or indifferent. So I like all these ladies. They're good ones. They really want to be stars. And I executive produced the Queen of the Ring movie.
Yes.
And our young lady we're just talking about had a great
Camille.
Yeah, Camille had a nice role in there. I think she played June Byers.
Yep.
So that movie will be out soon. You can check it out. You can check all about it. There's some clips and all kinds of stuff at online.
Yes.
You guys are more proficient at that than I am, but there's some good stuff. And maybe next week, Bull Ramus, maybe we can pull some of those clips off that and air them here on the show. Might not be a bad idea. Little short ones, show the people kind of what. And Mae Young's the character Mae Young has a significant role in the movie, so it's good. I loved it. It made me tear up because you got to remember what Mildred Burke overcame. Being a female in a man's world, all the boys wanted to do is screw her, and so she dressed in a lot of closets until she started selling out buildings. And then she was one of the boys. She's all right.
Absolutely.
She wasn't all right 2 months ago whenever she was dressed in the janitor's closet and you guys didn't show any couth. We're supposed to shower under a water faucet or with a washcloth. It's just terrible. And I got in the business in '74 and it was that way then too.
Right.
Women were second citizens and they would show up, sit someplace to kayfabe their opponents, as they should, and as everybody did at that time. And then finally find out where they're dressing, and I just remember where they dressed in Tulsa. It was horrible, and that was a nice building. They just didn't have the room for it.
Right.
They had locker rooms, but they didn't have enough. So anyway, but the Queen of the Ring is going to be in theaters very soon. Well, we can probably do a little bit of research on that deal. I'll help you if I need to find out when it's going to be released. They just had another premiere in, I think, Fort Lauderdale this past week, and my diabetes was acting up, and my feet were so swollen I couldn't wear my shoes, so I didn't get to make it. But I'm fully supportive of it. I loved it. It touched my heart because Ash Avildsen has become a great friend of mine. Put it together. He plays a role. It's a cameo, but it's an important role. Ash plays the role of Vince McMahon Sr. And so there's just a lot of historical things in this deal. It's based on the book Queen of the Ring by Jeff Lean. It's the best wrestling book I've ever read, and I've read just about all of them because the boys will send me their books and they want me to plug them on the paper on the podcast, which I
Sure.
do. You give me the information, I'll plug it for you. So anyway, I know where
Queen of the Ring will be released soon. You'll be able to find out information at JR's social media. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, X, whatever we call it nowadays, at JR's BBQ. Has Camille, also as former AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm as part of the cast, and Trinity as well from the WWE. So be sure to stay tuned to JR's social media. JR, you have a busy couple weeks coming up. You have appearances lined up. This weekend, November 16th, JR, you'll be at the Wrestling Classic 5 in Springfield. For tickets and information, head over to zombie-hideout.com. Jim, it's not going to be just you. It's going to be a lot of people there, but there's an opportunity to take a picture of you and the King, Jerry Lawler, together.
Yeah.
Then the next week, you'll be at Full Gear in Newark, as you told us today, for AEW. Tickets are available at AEWTix.com. And then the week after that, WrestleCade weekend at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. WrestleCade.com. All the information Saturday, November 30th. Signing and taking pictures. Jerry, you got a busy couple weeks ahead of you, don't you?
Yeah, and I look forward to it, Derek. I look forward to it. I enjoy reconnecting with the fans. I'm not out and about as much as I used to be, or as much as I'm going to be. So we're kind of starting that off. I've got we're a step or two closer to booking that appearance I talked about in England or UK. I don't have all the cities yet or the dates. We think it's going to be in January.
Okay.
And by next week at this time, I'll have all the information. It's just dotting I's and crossing T's and formalities and stuff like that. Book and travel, all the normal stuff. But that's a great area for me. Those fans have always been appreciative of my work and me, and I do appreciate that. So I'm excited and looking forward to it. I'm just trying to see on this before we get back to what you were talking about, my appearances and stuff. The Julia Hart vignette was excellent.
Yes,
I thought, and I'm a big fan of hers too. She's adorably evil and very, very talented. Has great crowd psychology and facial expressions. She could tell you a great story by looking into her pretty face. So good to see her getting back at it, healthy, 100% healthy. I was shocked, to be honest with you, that FTR lost tonight.
Same.
I was just assuming that because of the rumored situation of Mr. Black leaving, and I think his contract's expiring. And it's not a tragedy. He's a hell of a man. I love the guy. He's a nice guy, smart guy. He'd be good in the Booker's room. But I thought FTR would go over based on my assumptions of what was going on. And I'm glad I didn't go to Vegas to bet on that one, because I would have bet the fucking farm on FTR winning, and they didn't. So I think that's great. I just think it's great booking. Great booking. And what it'll do, it'll set up the House of Black spinoff with Private Party, and that will do worlds of good for Private Party to be in that spot. They got the titles, tag titles. Now let's see what they do with them. Are they going to expand their game? Is it not going to be a spot fest every time? Are they occasionally going to work a hold? A lot of the boys don't understand that working a hold can be great for your storytelling if you choose to let it, and it keeps you from bumping all over the ring and on that and taking abuse it yourself. You don't want to do that. So all in all, I thought Dynamite was a really good show. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So I'm glad we got to watch it, and hopefully they got a good rating and so forth.
Yeah.
They did a nice job promoting the pay-per-view, I thought.
Agreed. Feels like they're building some forward momentum. And Adorably Evil might be a T-shirt coming to you soon at AEW Shop. That sounds like a great catchphrase coming up for Julia Hart.
I've been known to get a good idea occasionally back in my day. Back in Tony Gurria. Back in my day, the sheep loved me. So anyway, that's where we are with that. Dynamite was good. Hats off to everybody involved. It takes a proverbial village to produce great wrestling shows.
Absolutely.
And I thought that the team at AEW tonight did a good job. I couldn't tell how big the crowd was. They seemed to be noisy at times.
Yes. They've been shooting it in a way that it's hard to figure out if it's at capacity, under capacity, but I think the production in the last couple of weeks has also been top notch as well, especially with the vignettes and the transitions. I think everything has been really top notch lately.
Yeah, there's the production values and content has swelled. It's gotten better. We're not seeing it all the time, but what we're seeing are nice short soundbite type things.
Yep.
That you don't have to engage for 10 minutes to get to drift it. And the punchline it's good. It's good stuff. So anyway.
Awesome.
Dynamite was a hit. We can agree on that.
Agree on that. Jim, a few weeks back here on the program, we teased a brand new series that is launched over on adfreeshows.com, celebrating the incredible women in professional wrestling called Ladies Night at the Matches. And boy, howdy, do we have some amazing guests lined up. How about the Walking Riot, Missy Hyatt, joining us on our very first episode. And just last week, the Perfect 10 Baby Doll joined us. Check out this clip.
They said, well, you're one of the boys. And I was just like, what do you mean I'm one of the boys? You've always been one of the boys. And I never thought of myself as that because I was like a girl and it was separate. Mm-hmm. But they were like, if you weren't one of the boys, why are they talking so nice about you? Why does Arn put you over every time he talks about you? Why does Flair put you over every time they talk? Why? Because you were one of the boys. And I feel like maybe for myself, as being a woman, as being a female in there, maybe for the first time, I was one of the boys rather than one of Moolah's girls or one of the girl wrestlers. I was at a different level than everybody else. And I took that as a really good compliment because not all the girls can be one of the boys.
Amen. And another thing about that, she was also in a spot where she could earn a lot more money than a lot of the Moolah girls, without a doubt. True. She worked really well with Tully and the Horseman. Tully first, it seems like, but yeah, she was. I've known her since she was a teenager, and that's been a while back. Yeah, it's been a while. Her dad and mom. Her dad and mom were both pro wrestlers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. All right, check out the brand new series, Ladies Night at the Matches, along with over 100,000 hours of other exclusive content from legends like The Godfather, Tully Blanchard, as JR was talking about, Lex Luger, David Crockett, and so many more right now at adfreeshows.com. And for our Grilling JR listeners, use promo code JR25 at checkout to get 25% off your first month. That's code JR25 at checkout and get 25% off your first month at adfreeshows.com. Give it a try. You'll be glad you did.
Great investment. Great investment. You'll be happy you tried it. Give it a shot. And 25% off the first month's a nice savings. And look at a lot of inventory, a lot of different personalities. Everybody's got their own stories. They're not censored. They're not told what to say. They just talk honestly to you, as we try to do here every week.
JR, last couple of weeks, we've been talking about No Mercy 1999, and it was such a big, traumatic time in the WWF. We had to split it up in 2 episodes. So we're going to move on this week, and we're going to discuss Survivor Series 1999. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Gorilla Monsoon passed away. Vince Russo left the WWF. Droz got hurt. The WWF stock went public. There was so much going on that here we are now stepping into November, which is one of the big 5 pay-per-views. Before we get into the pay-per-view, one of the crowning moments in professional wrestling history takes place, and we talked about books at the top of the show. Mick Foley's book, Have a Nice Day, just been released, and the combination of its high quality and shockingly high sales made it a phenomenon. when you look back at the launch of Mick Foley's Have a Nice Day, it had to be one of these moments where, again, you turned to Vince and said, I told you, I was right. I knew what I was doing with Mick Foley, right?
No. Are you kidding me? You want to throw it back in his face? I was right and he was wrong. I don't look good, but I'm not stupid. But I read that Mick was handwriting that book. And when I would see him at TV every week, he'd give me the handwritten original pages to read. And so I was reading it as it was being written. I mean, literally. And knew it was going to be special. Because no one with his name, identity, and experience had ever been that forthcoming. And it made the company a lot of money. It made Mick a lot of money. The most stringent argument I ever had with Mick Foley in all the years I've known him it was over the book, which is ironic because I was the one that was pushing the hardest for us to promote it and do it, us being WWE, that it just, but when he got his check, the boys they're learning. Mick's learning. He's already got that figured out. Well, understand how the monies are divided. Understand that the schedule the payments are made on. I can tell you one of the most frustrating things I've ever encountered is the accounting. I think I've had 3 books now be published. Well, no, the cookbook before. I've had 5 all total. And getting your payments orderly in order in some sort of logical plan is really hard. And I've talked to a lot of authors, and they all say the same thing. So it's an industry-wide issue. It's not just, it's a wrestling book. We can wait on that. It's just the nature of the damn beast. But he had great success with that book, and it really opened the door for guys like me to write our books. Because all of a sudden people realize that just because it's by a wrestler doesn't mean you're just talking about headlocks and hammer locks. There's a whole lot more to the story than that. So, but yeah, it was good, and Vince is very happy that I pushed him to do it, and I didn't make a dime out of it, but the company did, and they paid me, so I guess I made something. But Mick did real well with it, and I think once he got home and he read the contract, which he had not done, mistake, and he got an attorney, if I recall correctly, to go over it and explain it to him. He settled down and it was just cool. And I don't know how many books he did for WWE, but he did more than one, and they all made some money. That person was special. He broke the ice, and it allowed guys like me that like to write a platform and an audience. So many of us tapped off of Nick's idea. Bret Hart wrote a book similar. Jericho's written several books. I'm leaving guys out, but I don't unintentionally. But bottom line is that opened the door for a lot of book business. A lot of guys are, I heard today, I saw a clip on Twitter or X, where it is, with a Dutch Mantell who's apparently has an issue with Dave Meltzer over something Meltzer said. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but had a little video clip of Dutch. And hey, Bull, do we have the information on Dutch's GoFundMe?
We do.
Anyway, can we put that up?
I don't know if we have a graphic for it, but I can actually I can tell everyone, if you go to Dutch's Twitter, which I'm going to pull it up right now, he is currently raising money for what he's got going on. Unfortunately, if you go to @DirtyDMantell, Mantell, make sure you click the link at the top. There is a GoFundMe. There are a lot of people that have contributed to Dutch and his struggle right now with his health. which is part of the reason why I think there's an issue with Dave Meltzer and Dutch Mantell over Tony Khan contributing towards it. But yeah,
five
he's
grand.
in.
Tony committed $5,000.
Correct.
I think
And I
Jericho
think,
did 1,500.
yeah,
So
there's a lot of guys. Jim Cornette actually contributed $5,000 as well. So
yeah, that's a great deal for Corny. People bitch
yeah,
about him all the time because they don't agree with his opinion.
right.
That'd be like, I don't know. It's sad how it's that way. But bottom line is, if you get a chance, if it's $5
Yep.
or $10, whatever it may be, it'll help.
Every little bit
So
helps.
if you're a wrestling fan and you get it, if you can afford it, I encourage you to consider that option. It's good. Dutch
Absolutely.
is like me. He's been in the business about 50 years, and he served as a very successful booker and a TV personality. That's a smart guy, but he's sick. He's just getting out of the hospital, and those medical bills are got to be astronomical. Mine have been. Thank God for good insurance.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, so
you
he's
gotta
raised
have,
over $100,000 so far. So every little bit helps from everybody who's been able to donate.
yeah, absolutely, and that'll go like that. That's the 100 grand will
Nothing.
go like click gone.
Yep.
So keep Dutch in mind, and he's a good guy. He's contributed a lot to our business, and I have all the respect in the world in him. He's just a good dude.
As we touched on a couple of weeks ago, with all the creative shakeup that was going on in the WWF with Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara leaving, Terry Taylor seems to be the one who steps into the position as quote unquote head writer behind Vince McMahon. But there seems to be a bit of an issue, and this is from The Observer. Terry Taylor's future remained questionable. He and Vince McMahon had a meeting on October 20th, and Taylor was pushing hard for Russo's position of head writer. He was spearheading the writing team for the previous 2 weeks of television and was apparently mad because he thought he wrote good TV, and McMahon changed most of it. There was also apparently a problem because McMahon was insistent on Taylor signing a contract clause where if he were to quit or be fired, that he couldn't work for any Time Warner company for 1 year, and Taylor wasn't going to sign. The meeting ended with Taylor being sent home for a 2-week sabbatical. So when you go from Vince Russo, Ed Ferrara, Bill Banks, a lot of the writing team leaving, and then Terry Taylor's supposedly stepping up and stepping in, why do you think Vince was pushing for the non-compete clause, and why do you think Terry was hesitant to take it?
Well, Vince didn't want to get burned a second time for the same thing, not having a contract to protect him. I don't blame him for that. Now, I wouldn't have signed it either to say I couldn't work at any wrestling company if I were Terry Taylor. Terry was very opportunistic, and he was always, and I guess you could, in one way, in a nicer way, you could say he's very ambitious. But Vince never had a great belief in Terry for some reason. He never took him totally seriously. I don't know exactly why, but Terry was never going to get that job. Never going to happen. And it didn't.
Do you think that Vince's pause around the room and looking at Terry was more of a he's not one of my guys? Because there was a lot written at the time in the newsletters that Terry didn't live in Stamford; he lived in Atlanta, and that's always been a Vince thing: is if you don't live around there, how involved are you really? And was that an issue constantly with Terry?
It might have been. I don't know if he was asked to move. That would be a question for him. But I would assume if it was down to where you moved to Connecticut and I'll hire you as a head writer, Terry probably would have done that. I think. I might be wrong. But I don't know. That commuting in and out was just a cost that Vince, all he's got to do is ask a secretary that how much we paid for Terry Taylor's travel this year. How much we paid for it last year. And if those numbers come in and make Vince uncomfortable, then he's going to do what he can to solve that uncomfortable nature. So if the way Vince worked, which is 7 days a week, and you want to go home, and it's like being in in a militia or something. You're on call.
Right.
When you take that job, you understand what comes with it. What comes with it are long days and many of them. And you'd be better off to see your family to eliminate the plane flights. Just to leave the office and go home, no matter what time it was. So I don't think Terry ever had a legit chance of getting it. Hey, look, if he had it, I'm sure he'd have written decent TV. He worked for a lot of good
Right.
bookers. He worked for Cowboy. Cowboy kind of brought him out of his shell. But I don't know. It's hard to say on that. But I think that he never had an opportunity truly to be the head writer.
It's
Maybe I'm wrong.
written. It is written in the Observer that you, Bruce, Tony Blanchard, Shane McMahon, Kevin Kelly were all stepping up at that point in time with the lack of Vince Russo at FR. And now that Terry Taylor has taken a 2-week sabbatical, how involved were you at this point in the creative process? Were you still sitting around the table, or are you trying to stay away because of talent relations role, or were you forced into this spot?
No, I wasn't forced to do anything. I like writing TV. I like creating. But I also had a full-time job as the head of talent relations, managing a multi-million-dollar budget and trying to keep the animals happy and fed and all that good stuff. So I think that that would have been too much. That would have been too much for me. I needed to be able to do that job and focus on that job. The worst thing that can happen, and one of the worst things that could happen, is a talent to call you. And as I said, let's say for example, I was in another meeting. I just, I know that talents if you don't call them right back, they think something's wrong. They're very paranoid by nature. So I learned that. I learned that early on. So I didn't need to be sitting in a meeting talking about segment 7 when some talent's calling and they never call you to ask how you're doing. They call you because they need something, and it's usually money or it's cash or creative. Same shit that causes guys to stay or to leave: cash and or creative. So I helped them. They'd run stuff by me just to see what my take would be on it, things like that, which I didn't mind helping them out. But I just didn't have the time. I had a full-time gig, and I did Monday Night Raw, and I did the pay-per-views,
Right.
and I contributed to the hotline or wherever the fuck it was. I didn't have this. It's physically impossible to do it, but I did contribute, but just I don't know if I want to say sparingly or intermittently, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed that. I used to set the Cowboy and Ernie Ladd and the Big Cowboy back in the day when they were writing TV, and I gave them a different approach, and I was younger than them, and I had maybe a little bit more attuned to that day's audience, and I placed all the radio buys and handled all the promotions. So I stayed connected big time, but I just didn't, in the WWE years, there's no way in hell I could have kept up with my work and done a good job at both of them. Now, I can tell you that in a younger Jim Ross would probably, his ego would have been sufficient enough to try to do it, because if that would have come with a lot of good fanfare. I would be adding another tool to my toolbox, which would help. One would assume would help you ensure more tenure. But man, just physically and mentally, and because talent going to call you 7 days a week. They don't.
Right.
No
days off.
Nope. And so I didn't have any days off. But I love my job, and I still think fondly about those days. I thought that at the end of the day, we must have built a hell of a talent roster because they sure put many of my guys in the Hall of Fame and made them rich. And that's the bottom line. They're rich. They've made a lot of money in my time there, and I'm glad I could help.
And that is the bottom line. And let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to
Really?
make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found pre-alcohol. Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. And just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on going to work, coaching basketball, doing whatever I have to do without worry. And I kept hearing about pre-alcohol and wondered what it was actually like. Now that I've tried it, I get why everyone's talking about it. And with their GMO technology, Zbiotics is continuing to invent probiotics that will help with everyday challenges of modern living. Go to zbiotics.com/JR to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use JR at checkout. Zbiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/JR and use the code JR at checkout for 15% off.
That's a smart innovation, I think, to be honest with you. I have been drinking much because it conflicts with my meds. So most of my drinking is junior high, like this. This is my new favorite. There it is. Zero sugar sweet tea, Gold Peak. So you like iced tea and it's no calories. It's an idea for you guys. They're not a sponsor either. I just that's my new favorite. And my second new favorite are these. Look at these babies. Tacova boots.
Those cowboy boots?
Yeah. I used to wear them all the time. But there it is. It's a nice looking boot.
Tacovas?
Huh?
Tacovas?
What's that mean?
Is that the brand of the cowboy boot?
Tacova.
Tacovas. I don't speak Spanish.
I don't either, obviously. There's the same brand of boots that the crew and the cast, I'm trying to say, wear on Yellowstone. But
How about that?
When I give them their first test run, I'll let you guys know how they fit, how they do. I'm sure they're going to do well. The leather's very soft, supple, and they're handmade, so it's kind of cool. So they sent me these boots. I appreciate it. Thank you guys at Tacovas, and hopefully we'll be seeing Tacova ads on our show sooner than later.
Absolutely.
Conrad's got 2 pair of them. Of course, he's a big shot, lives on the beach.
I've heard boots are made for walking, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of walking, there's a whole lot going on, and there's a lack of heels all of a sudden on the talent roster. So we've lost.
And we're talking about WWE in the 1999.
That is correct.
Is that what you're referring to?
That is correct. So DX comes back together all of a sudden. Triple H is surrounded by X-Pac, the New Age Outlaws again. You got Val Venus working up near the top of the card. The British Bulldog, the big boss man, is about to get elevated. But it felt like there was a lack of heels all of a sudden. There's injuries. There's some talent drama with Jeff Jarrett leaving. All this going on. It's hard to all of a sudden flip a switch and push a lot of talent up to the next level. Was that something we were running into in 1999 at this point?
Yeah, it happens all the time. You're either too short of baby faces or heels. Because you can't predict the human element that you alluded to. Injuries, attitude, divorce, a lot of things like that. So it's just not It's not conducive. It's not a good thing. But you deal with it daily. That's why the head of talent relations has got to be available to talk to the talent then, now. As I said facetiously, they don't, the talents didn't call to say, hey, JR, I was just thinking about you. Just want to call and see how you're doing. Bullshit. So it's like you want to just cut to the chase. So what do you need? What's the problem? You know, how can I help you? That's what I generally would say. And that worked out pretty good. I think we built the damnedest roster that they've ever had, including the one they have now. Look at there's a different way of looking at it. In as much as today, a lot of guys are paid like a salary.
Right.
I understand a WWE. So they get X dollars, and it's big money. But I wonder if they're on the old payoff system and they're being paid on productivity and tickets sold, how it would stack up. That's how my roster stacked up. They earned every damn dime. They made the house shows, 3 or 4 house shows a week, and they did vignettes for their books and their T-shirts and this, that, and the other. So it was just a different time. But I'm looking back at our talent roster and saying that no one in wrestling has ever assembled a roster as powerful and productive as the roster we had during the Attitude Era. I mean, Austin's and Rock's don't come along all the time. And then we had Undertaker, and he's a little younger than he obviously finished up being. And what a great leader he was. The Clint Eastwood of WWE, in my opinion. He was a strong voice in the locker room. Helped me a lot. So it was just, I just think that roster was just special. And I think Vince also thought that, we were talking about Terry Taylor a few minutes ago.
Mhm.
I think Vince thought maybe that Terry Taylor couldn't interact with those guys because Terry was always perceived as a mid-card guy.
Right.
Maybe unfairly. I'm not saying that. And I'm certainly not inferring that Terry was not a good worker. He was an excellent worker. Excellent. But how was he going to get along with Stone Cold? How was he going to get along with The Rock? Because they had their niches.
Right.
They're going to go to Vince. Austin would come to me, and then I would go to Vince, or I'd hook up Steve to go to Vince. Finally, we did that.
You be the buffer.
Yeah. I was a Silvio Dante, the character on Sopranos, the conciliary, whatever they call him. I'm not sure how that works, but the underboss type thing to Tony Soprano.
Yes.
So anyhow, it was a good chemistry. I communicated well with Vince, and I communicated well with the talent because I had been around talents forever. I was Cowboy Bill Watts' driver and a TV announcer and the radio guy, all that stuff. So I learned. I got thrown into the deep end right away with a very demanding boss who was brilliant. When Watts was on his game, I'd never been around anybody any smarter or more astute to the intricacies of pro wrestling than Cowboy. My only time I had something similar to happen was when a drunk Eddie Graham came to Watts's open house party after he spent a ton of money remodeling. And Cowboy put me with him. So he did take his clothes off and jump in a pool or something crazy. So I talked to Eddie about 2 or 3 hours while he was drinking vodka and lots of vodka. And he was just, he gave me an education I'll never forget. Psychology of being a babyface and the psychology of being a heel. You got to understand you are required to play off the audience's basic human instincts. If a chicken shit heels or are a great asset, because nobody likes a chicken shit heel. They're not supposed to anyway. They may now out of defiance, but good heels are hard to find. And to get heels, we had a plethora of them there: Carl Cox and Ted DiBiase and guys like that. And we countered them with powerful baby faces, strong baby faces that always gave the audience hope, like JYD or Dick Murdoch, guys like that. So and DiBiase was a great baby face too, and he was teaching young Dr. Death the ropes, no pun intended, and they seemed to work out pretty good. So good teacher. Teddy was a good guy. Still is a good guy.
Well, in 1999, the business was hot. You had house shows on SmackDown in Louisville drawing 12,963, paying $316,000. House shows in Chicago drawing a sellout, 17,114, paying $481,000. And in St. Louis at the Kiel Center drawing 8,929 and paying $253,631. On top of that, among teenage boys, SmackDown is the fourth highest rated network show. And when that's reported, he doesn't, that's not about teenage boys on Thursday nights. That number means number 4 among teen boys, period. So knowing the demographics and the microscope the company was under at the time, you're drawing these big houses, you have a lot of TNA and you have a lot of issues in regards to building up heels, you're still getting that top level production out of The Rock, Triple H, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's hard to keep replenishing talent underneath that to keep the ratings and the crowds high. And it's a testament to you as a talent relations manager to continue to do that, right?
Yeah, keep looking for talent. I never stopped looking. I looked at a lot of videotapes and I met with a ton of guys. I made recruiting trips, go to their homes, talk to them. I did that with Big Show. I did that with Chris Jericho. I essentially got him to say yes while we were in the Bombay Bicycle Club in Tampa. I don't know if it's even there anymore. But you got to keep working. You got to keep working. I need to be. I'm the sort that felt compelled to work every day. And God bless Jan, my late wife. She understood. She loved wrestling. She was my best friend, and she cooked some great meals for all those talents. I remember her doing the laundry for Stone Cold. She just she never had a problem with any of that. Just really, really good. Austin stayed at the hotel in Stanford. She and I lived in Norwalk, right off exit 13. I was thinking about that tonight, watching Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorite buildings there in Connecticut, because I would be home in 30 minutes, 45 minutes drive, from there and go back to Norwalk, right down 95. So it was that was a good memory. I got good memories of working at WWE, and I'm building great memories now working for Tony Khan and AEW. I like it. My schedule is very manageable.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be more than willing to work more if he wants me to. I'll do whatever Tony wants. I'm very loyal to him, and he's been very loyal, very good to me. So it's a good partnership so far.
It was not a partnership with Terry Taylor as he finally decides to leave the WWF for WCW after refusing to sign and this is how it's reported, the non-compete contract. Were you, I can't believe that you'd be shocked from what you said tonight that Terry was leaving, but did you think it was a big loss to the World Wrestling Federation to have Terry go back down to Atlanta in WCW?
Not really. Not really. I mean, he could contribute anywhere he was, depending on the role he had. A lot of ex-wrestlers don't do well in managerial positions in the corporate world. They just don't. And I can't tell you exactly why. But a lot of them, that's the job they've all been looking for. And when they get it, sometimes they're a little bit overwhelmed. But no, I mean, I know Terry could contribute. There's no doubt. And look, he's been at WWE working in the training camp forever.
Yep.
And he does a hell of a job. I've been down there and watched him work. He does a great job helping those kids. But he's usually one-on-one with people, and he's not managing a lot of corporate types.
Right.
So anyway,
It's all about finding where it works best for you, right?
yeah, you got to find your role. You got to know your role and find your role and know your role. And he's done that, and I'm happy for him. He's had a good run at WWE. He's made good money there for a long time, and I'm sure he's got benefits and all that good shit that we all covet. So, and if he got the head writer's job, I would have been more than happy to help to support him.
Right.
It's just I knew that Vince was just not high on him, and that didn't help. You got it, and in that era of WWE, you had to impress one person. That sounds easy. It sounds good, but also that one person can turn the thumbs down and say, "Not today."
Yep. Speaking of knowing your role, on Raw on November 1st at the MCI Center, which draws the sellout, 14,407 people paying over $400,000, a Kurt Angle vignette airs, giving his legitimate collegiate and amateur wrestling background. And it's even written in the Observer that he was playing such an old-style babyface that it looks as though they're planning on setting him up for a quick heel turn when it doesn't go over. What do you remember about Angle? Did you think he was playing a self-parody character, or do you think he actually believed in the role and everyone else knew it was a heel role at the end of the day?
Hard to say. Usually you had a clean looking babyface in that era, in the Attitude Era, he's going to get booed anyway. So I thought it was inevitable that he would be a heel. I didn't know how good a heel he would become. He wasn't just good at being a heel. He was great at being a heel because it allowed him to be his more natural self. And Kurt's a funny guy and off the camera and stuff. Sometimes you don't know when to take him seriously. Sometimes he's very serious, but you think he might be working you a little bit. But he's just multi-talented. Other than Jack Briscoe, who I put at the top of the list of all the great amateurs that I've been around in my career, Jack Briscoe was the quickest to understand the nuances of pro wrestling and how he could incorporate that into his game plan and being stylistic to that point in time. That's why his matches with Dory Jr. and Terry Funk are still talked about today, because they're crowd psychology. I don't know if they were doing Hurricane Ranas and 450 splashes and all those. Everything's got a name nowadays in that respect. He's just Kurt made that transition faster than anybody else other than Jack Briscoe, and that's a hell of a comparison, because Jack Briscoe was amazing, just simply amazing. So and Kurt was too. So it was good. Kurt was another guy. Here's another guy you get that's not worn out and people are tired of seeing. Yeah, we're signing guys. We're signing good talent. We got lucky on, I talked about it many times here. Shelton Benjamin was in that class, and now I'm glad he's probably going to, I would assume AEW will be his final stop, but I might be wrong. I hope we have him for a long time to come.
Yeah.
I have a world of respect for Shelton and his athletic abilities. We signed in that same class, we talked about it here. We signed Brock Lesnar,
Right.
and John Cena, and Dave Bautista, and Randy Orton. So we got lucky.
Yeah.
Most of them turned out to be pretty damn good hands. Some took a little bit longer than others, but they got there.
Yep.
They finally made it past the finish line, and they all main evented WrestleManias except Shelton, who's probably the most athletic son of a bitch of the group. And I don't say that, you know,
Derogatory.
you know.
Yeah.
That's a hell of that class. You could build a whole territory around those guys, and we damn near did.
They just about did for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what else is amazing? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, think of the monies that those talents that I listed right this moment ago. How much money they made for Vince and WWE? Because I know what they were making. Because
Right.
I was paying them, and they all had their first $1 million years working with me, and I'm just proud as hell of them. Still am. And they keep a lot of those guys keep in touch with me, which is kind of cool. When I was sick, I think everybody checked in. So I just love those times. And I love the fact that there's no reason that most of those guys shouldn't be financially secure right now and not have to work another day in their life if they don't choose to. So it's a good thing. It's one of those happy endings.
You know what else is a good thing, JR? Magic Spoon. As a kid, I loved eating cereal, but as an adult, I don't want all that sugar, and most cereals don't give me the protein I need. Then I found Magic Spoon. A delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein. And if you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I have big news. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and have already become my favorite before and after gym snack. Every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. Now, with Magic Spoon's brand new treats, they're crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. There are many reasons to love, like, and enjoy Magic Spoon treats: the delicious flavor, the crispy texture, and the great macros when you're on your diet. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/JR, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/JR for $5 off. Magic Spoon.
My housekeeper was here today and cleaning out my pantry, one of her little chores. And I had a box of the fruity box.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds you of Fruit Loops in a way. That's my favorite. And I found an extra box, so I was very happy.
That's great.
Yeah, when I'm sitting around in the morning trying to have my coffee and wake up and start moving, and wonder what I'm going to have for breakfast. That's the one thing about being a widower and living alone. You have to make all these damn decisions. And so I always know that I can't miss with Magic Spoon. It tastes good. It's healthy. I like you, Derek. I like cereal.
Yep.
So and this is the most healthy cereal I know that's even available out there. The fact that it's in stores now is cool. So check it out, folks. Buy a box, and invest in a box of cereal, and you'll be happy you did because you're eating healthy. I'm diabetic too, so I have to watch my sugar intake. That's why the tea I showed you is sugar-free, sugarless. So I'm really big on the sugar thing right now.
So it's an easy decision with Magic Spoon. Magicspoon.com/JR. $5 off with promo code JR.
Yep. Check it out.
Speaking of checking it out, It's written in the Observer that you, Bruce Prichard, and Victor Quiones meets with the president of Dream Stage Entertainment about a possible show of doing business. Do you first off, do you remember the meeting with Pride DSC, and did you ever think that we would see anything according to a working agreement between the two of them?
Did they say on there where we met? Was it L.A.?
It doesn't say the location, but it said one of the main topics of conversation was Steve Williams going to a Tokyo Dome tournament.
Yeah, well, that was never going to happen.
No.
And the reason why it was Austin that hard to get along with, no, he just wasn't going to put his broken body in multiple matches on one card.
Right.
He just went, and I don't blame. We wouldn't have booked him that way.
Right.
I remember us having a meeting. I want to say it was in L.A. And I might be wrong on that, but I think it was in L.A. All we were doing was exploring options. You know, it came across Vince's desk, and he said, "You and Bruce handle it. Take Victor with you, and see what's there." So it's just fact finding, nosing around, see if there's any money for the WWE at the end of the day. And you know, the issue is you got a big time promoter coming to you that wants to do a show. He's got to understand. He's got to understand that the finishes and the lineups, the card itself, etc., it's all going to be left up to Vince. So even though we're using your building and your TV and helping draw a big house, Vince is going to still be in charge because he's going to protect his talent. That's like I said, the thing with Austin. A normal guy would say, "Well, what's going to hurt him to be in a he could have 3 or 4 5-minute matches." Well, he ain't doing it.
Right.
He's not able to do it. He's not fit, and we're not going to jeopardize the physical health of the biggest star in the history of the wrestling business, and you know, for the payday. There's other ways to get expose Austin on that show that's more conducive to his style and his health and so forth than putting him in a tournament. And of course, if you go in a tournament, he's got to win it. So, but that would never happen. Him being an attorney, not going to happen.
No.
So
and we'll get to Steve's health in a little bit too.
we just couldn't get there. It's just we wanted the new monies are always great.
Sure.
Getting our talents exposure and so forth, but you still got to be smart about how you book your guys. And because, like we said, we knew Austin was very fragile health-wise at that point in time, and just not going to jeopardize what time we had left with Steve in the ring.
One of the other interesting things I found in our research this past week was that also Jim Neidhart was signed at that time. And there was a lot of room in innuendo that it had to do with the Martha Hart lawsuit, but also it's written in the Observer that there was talk of Neidhart and Bulldog, who's back with the company, forming a new Hart Foundation. But that Neidhart wasn't hired just to be a wrestler, but more as a trainer and coach, and that he was intended to go to Louisville, but Jim Cornette put the kibosh on it with Danny Davis down there. What was the reasoning behind bringing back Jim Neidhart, and did it have anything to do with Stu Hart?
Well, we all liked and respected Jim Neidhart, the Anvil. You know, I met him when he's green, really green, working for Cowboy, and that's where he got he would do. He'd pick up anvils legit and throw them.
Right.
And so that's where he got the nickname, the Anvil, all the way back then. Likeable guy, smart guy. Like many of us, he made some decisions that were somewhat dubious in his out of ring stuff. But we're welcoming him back with open arms, and I could never see him. He was a great complementary partner to to Brett.
Sure.
Brett was comfortable with him, and that's what you want to. How you got to prioritize your time and attention. You can't divvy it up equally in a tag team. For example, you mentioned Cornette. The most valuable member of the Midnight Express was Jim Cornette.
Right.
And the most valuable member of that Hart Foundation team was Brett. The most valuable member of the Rock and Roll Express was Ricky. That type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not to say that they're partners of the shits. It's just to say that, you have to prioritize who the stars are. Who are you catering to? And you have to cater to somebody. That somebody on that team has got to feel special. It's just impossible to split the specialness between two guys equally. So Neidhart was, everybody liked Jim.
Right.
And I think he would have been a great teacher, great coach. He was a big time athlete, and he's a Division I athlete at UCLA. He was a world record holder in his age group for shot put. And that was one of the things that attracted Cowboys. The Cowboy's son, Micah, who was kind of a spitting image of the Cowboy. He was a shot putter. And Neidhart was considered at that time one of the best in the entire world. And so you think that Neidhart gave Eric or Micah some tutoring? Damn right he did. So,
of course.
Yeah, why not? And he enjoyed it. That's where I saw him coaching and teaching and mentoring, was there with Cowboy's young son. So when it all came back around, I thought, he might have the ability to teach and communicate. But like a lot of the boys, like Randy Savage is a good example. He didn't want to be a TV announcer. He didn't think his career was over, and he might have been right. To be honest with you. But Neidhart didn't want to get out of the ring. He liked being on the road with Brett, and they had their thing. And hell, they were related by marriage. So it just was I thought it was something we should try. But as I recall, now I'm thinking about it, I don't think Jim really was interested in getting off the road and getting in, and the Louisville thing didn't attract him. And I can understand that too. He wanted to wrestle. Bottom line, he wanted to wrestle. And that's not what, at that time, that wasn't at the top of the list of things to do with Neidhart.
Things that I'm sure were not at the top of the list of things you wanted to deal with, and this is directly from the Observer. One of the sillier stories we've heard, Walmart has pulled all the Al Snow action figures after complaining about the doll making light of violence against women. Stemming from complaints from Sabrina Patron, an assistant professor of communications at Kennesaw State University in Georgia, and also from the manager of a Walmart in Catersville, Georgia, led the company pulling the Al Snow doll, which comes with a female mannequin head and reading "Help Me" scrawled backwards across the forehead. Patron complained that the doll sent a message about brutalization toward women. Walmart, after reviewing the complaint, decided the doll was a questionable item, so they announced on November 1st they were removing the Snow doll from all their shelves, probably permanently. As stupid as this sounds, Jim, this actually became a pretty major story. The claim that head was a woman's severed head was present in a distressing number of media stories about this at the time. You guys had to deal with a lot of complaints about the content back then, but when it veers into outright moral panic territory like this, is the right move to fight it, dismiss it, or ignore it?
Well, I think to fight it makes no sense, because you're not going to win. And why engage in a conflict that you can't win? They've made their mind up. They meaning the Walmart, and it's a very family company and all that stuff. And I always appreciated Walmart. I wish they sold JR's barbecue sauce, but they don't. They no, it's not worth fighting because you got all these other action figures on the shelf that are selling. Al was a mid card, kind of a novelty act. So I think Vince's idea was we're not going to jeopardize the Stone Cold dolls being sold.
Right.
If you're not on the shelf, you can't find them. You're not going to buy them. So no, I don't think fighting is the thing to do. You can sit and talk with them and explain the character, which they obviously did not understand.
Right.
So, and I'm sure that they had not watched 1 minute of an Al Snow match to that point. So it wasn't worth fighting for it, and maybe jeopardizing everything over
Right.
one action figure. And it was bad. I got to talk to Al because he knows that if his doll's coming off the shelves at Walmart, that he's going to make
Money
less
out of his
money.
pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the way it goes when you're in the merchandising business. He understood it.
Now, if you ask Mick Foley, no one ever bought an Al Snow doll anyway to begin with. But when something like that happens with controversy, sometimes it does drive some sales, even if it's not in Walmart. So there's a chance it might have driven some revenue towards him. But it's just one of those silly things you got to deal with that wasn't really worth the time for it.
Right. Exactly. Sometimes we die on the wrong hills. I tell you, especially in wrestling, because things are so overthought more often than not, it seems like. So anyway,
Well,
go ahead.
it's one of those things that I always find interesting when you look back 25 years compared to what the world was then and the world is now. Things have changed a lot over those years. And I think nowadays, the moral outrage of some of this stuff, less hate, more barbecue. I think it fits very well in that scenario, doesn't it, Jim?
Yeah, it does. Very well. Things change, and now nobody'd have any problem with an Al Snow doll because they'd have somebody in their company do a little research about that stuff. My God,
Yeah.
Austin was a rogue. He was a misfit in the eyes of many.
Yeah.
He's the greatest character babyface of all time, but he gave the center to several women over time.
Yep.
But they were selling the shit out of his stuff. He couldn't dynamite his stuff off the shelves.
That's all they cared about.
That's it.
Speaking of things that always care about, Lumen is here to help you like Head was to help Al Snow. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat, carbs, and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe in your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then, Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Why does metabolic health matter? Well, your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, and better sleep. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health with each breath, and Lumen's recommendations are designed to improve your pre and post workout fueling for better performance and recovery so you can power through your toughest workouts and add on muscle mass. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/grillandjr to get 15% off your Lumen. That is LUMEN.me/grillandjr for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode of Grillin' JR.
Yeah, we appreciate your business. Great idea, too. It's one of those ideas when you first hear about it, you say, God damn it, why didn't I think of that?
100%.
It's logical as hell. And it tells you what your body's doing and processing and feeling. And you can't get too old. You can't be too young for that. It's just smart. So check it out, read up on it, folks, and give it a try. It may save your ass somewhere down the road.
Absolutely. Lumen.me/GrillandJR, 15% off your Lumen. Now we're here to talk about the big story. One of the big stories. Steve Austin is pulled off the road on the weekend house shows. Now, Steve has always had neck issues from a long time ago and throughout his professional wrestling career. And obviously, the one that stands out the most is the 1997 SummerSlam Tombstone Piledriver from Owen Hart. Steve has dealt with this injury over and over and over again and has put it off and put it off. Now, finally, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and he's pulled off the road. Now, he is advertised to be in the main event at the Survivor Series in a three-way triple threat match, the WWF title, with two of the biggest stars in the company, Triple H and The Rock. When do you hear that Steve can't do it anymore? How does he inform you? Or is this the company protecting Steve and saying it's time?
No, the doctors gave us all the feedback we needed. We weren't guessing, weren't playing doctor. We listened to the doctor and talked about Steve's symptoms and where he was and what could happen, and if this happened or that happened, and none of it was good news. So, and nobody wanted to come off the road and get out of the ring,
right?
More than Steve. He was a trooper, a real trooper. But that time comes for everybody, unfortunately. I'm blessed. I got to call this last match at I think it was WrestleMania 19 in Seattle.
Yep.
At the ballpark. That's where he put Rock over.
Yep. Safeco Field.
Yeah. So that was that. And that's why they didn't go on last. You got Rock versus Austin for the title, and you don't put them on last? Are you guys crazy? No, we're not crazy. We didn't know, quite frankly, if Steve could do it, how he was going to perform, how he was going to feel. Could he get re-injured over something that happened that seemed to be so mundane it wouldn't hurt anybody? So that's where we were with that. And it gave Lesnar and Angle, two young guys, a chance to close that show, which was also very good. So we got a little win out of it. But Steve was just, we had to take care of his health. Too many times, we're always chasing the dollar and not worry about the health. And I've been a party to so much of that, it's almost embarrassing. But the talents want to work. They're like wild horses. You can't just saddle them up and ride them into town or in the 4th of July parade. They want to run. They want to go. And Austin was at the top of that list. He loved performing, and he loved physicality. But his body was saying, "You gotta help me out here. We gotta figure this shit out because something ain't right."
Sometimes you got to do it to them to make sure that they protect themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did. And, he didn't like it, but he understood it. So that's the direction we took. We get one more match out of him there at that WrestleMania 19. If we get that and it's passable, it was more than passable, then things are going to be fine. Because he was never going to worry about, he made so much money. He had money and he saved money. He's smart. He was one of those Johnny Weaver deals. It's not what you make, it's what you save. I heard that from Cowboy. I heard that from Skandar Akbar. All the old timers said the same thing. It's not what you earn each week, kid. It's how much you take home, put in the bank, or a coffee can, or wherever you're going to put it, but store it away. And Steve was very good with his money, and he had lots of opportunities too, as we've seen subsequently.
Right.
Movies, TV shows, staying busy. Hey, if he wanted, Derek, if he wanted to do promos, autograph things, like I'm going to do this Saturday in Springfield, Mass, then he could be doing them right now.
Sure.
He could probably make 25 grand a pop or so, but he don't want to travel.
Right.
And it also tells you he doesn't need the money. So there was a happy ending to that story. And it has nothing to do with his win-loss record or how he left.
Right.
He left on his back. He left on his back, and he left like a man. And so he's a great one for young wrestlers to look at and say, I want to be like him. Work ethic. You know, he was never late. He's very, very professional. But his body said no. And he only got one body. And because of the fragility of neck injuries and how it can paralyze limbs and things of that nature,
Absolutely.
the tingling and the numbness and all these things, he just, he had to live with that. And it broke his heart. I think his own body broke his heart at the end of the day. And we did the only thing that we thought we could do. And that was, if we're able to get one more match out of him, let's do it and say goodbye. As you notice, we didn't talk about his injuries to the extreme nature that they actually were,
right?
Which is counterproductive for pro wrestling. In another era, or maybe even in this era, we'd talk about his fragility, but we didn't go there. So it was a emotional night, to say the least.
Sure. Now, in terms of 99, in terms of the cashing creative that was going on, he's advertised for this 3-way main event. But 2 weeks in advance, once you pull him off the house shows, he's probably not going to be a part of that pay-per-view of Survivor Series.
Yep.
The cash is more important than the creative here, because Steve stays on TV and does promos to promote it. But at the time, no one said there was a chance on TV that Steve wouldn't be on the show. So there's a little bit of an issue with people saying false advertising. Where do you stand in that? Do you think he should have been pulled, or do you think the creative is more important in that point?
I think he should have been pulled.
Okay.
It's just such a negative sell. It's unfortunate. And maybe we didn't react on it fast enough because we were greedy and we wanted the money. That's what somebody's thinking right now out there, I can promise you. So anyway, I thought he was. It came out okay, and ironically, we didn't get that many complaints about the advertising.
Right.
Thanks to the internet, for once, they had it pretty well covered.
True.
So if you're an inside fan and you knew what was going on, and if you weren't, we're going to give you the best explanation we can at the most appropriate time that we can create, and that would be how we would handle it. And looking back on it, we'd have made an announcement, and he wasn't real comfortable with that either.
Right. I was going to say,
he just makes him look weak. He didn't want to look weak.
I would assume Steve would want to be taken out in terms of the creative instead of just announcing, "Hey, my neck is hurt. It's bad. I got to go get surgery." Right?
Yeah. Well, we'd probably do it for him.
Yeah.
We wouldn't ask him to go out and do that. Vince could do it, or I could do it, and communicate the message. You wouldn't want to dwell on it. You need to do a eulogy. It's just the fact that here's where we are. Medically, he can't go.
Right. Now, the WWF could have avoided the sweat of Steve Austin's injury with Mando. It's that time of year. Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals are in full swing. You know, and I know, that the right time to buy anything that's going to help you smell better is right here and right now. Mando's 72-hour formula keeps you fresh, even on those non-stop days. While you're juggling gift lists, long lines, and family gatherings, Mando's got you covered. No reapplying necessary. What the heck is Mando whole body deodorant? It's made by a doctor. Mando is science-backed for real odor control, and it's not some gimmick like we know. Works for 72 hours straight, no matter what you're doing, whether it's holiday shopping working overtime, or sitting through a marathon of family dinners. With the low pH formula, it actually stops odor before it starts rather than just covering it up, and it's full body protection. Hits, package, feet, wherever you need it, and let's be real, your old deodorant isn't cutting it for all those areas. Choose from our 3 formats. That's invisible spray, solid stick, invisible cream. And it's available in 4 premium scents: Urban Leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, Clover Woods. And with our Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals going on, it's up to 30% off exclusive bundles for Black Friday. Right now, through Cyber Monday, you can get up to 30% off bundles at the shopmando.com to shop their sale. shopmando.com. And when they ask, please support Grillin' JR and tell them we sent you. Now, I don't know if you're like me, JR, but I am constantly sitting in a chair. When you sit in a chair for a long period of time, that smell, the sweat, it all just sits. Mando is my way of getting through the day, so my coworkers around me don't get bothered. How about you?
It works. It works. They sent me a package to try out, and what the hell I got to lose? Nothing. And they were a potential sponsor. I'll try it, and it works. I don't know if I've ever gone 3 days. That's just me. In my lifetime, I know that I have, but it works, and it's easy to apply, and it's not messy, and it doesn't stink. Who wants to walk around with a stinky ass?
Nobody.
And nobody. And this will prevent that. I can promise you.
That is correct. It is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level is a 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. That's right, they measured that. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers or to secure some last-minute stocking stuffers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Right now through Cyber Monday, you can get up to 30% off bundles. Head to shopmando.com and shop their sale. shopmando.com. And when they ask, please support our show, Grillin' JR, and tell them we sent you. Don't let the holiday stress get you sweating this holiday season. Your family and friends will thank you.
Yeah, be brave enough to change deodorants and ensure you won't have a stinky ass or underarms or anywhere else you're going to apply it. It's good for the entire body. You know what I'm saying?
We got 2 major moments that are good for the body as well left before we get to our main event. Arnold Schwarzenegger makes an appearance at SmackDown, gets involved in the promotion of his End of Days movie. He's handed a commemorative WWF title from Vince McMahon and gets into a brawl with Triple H. Were you at this SmackDown? What do you remember about Arnold, and how did it all come to be?
Yeah, I was there. Well, Arnold was on TV to promote his movie.
Right.
And he wanted to do a little bit more than the normal Bob Barker cameo. He wanted to be physical. He's an action hero.
Right.
So there's Cole. Cole had more hair then. And it was much darker, as you noticed. God
I think
bless
we all
him.
had more hair 25 years ago.
The harder as he works, it's lucky that we're seeing that. And notice in the background there, put that back up, Bull. There's one wrestler represented. Well, there's 2. There's DX got a shirt there in the back on the second row, but Austin front and center.
Front and center.
He was so over. But Arnold wanted to do a little bit more, and much to Triple H's credit, he stepped up and took a hell of a shot from Arnold, kind of a backhand, some kind of martial arts kind of a deal. But it was good. They did a good job.
He bumped for him.
Oh yeah. Well, Triple H is all about business.
Right.
And I know some are rolling their eyes right now. Oh, he married the boss's daughter. What the fuck do you care who he married? And how is it any of your business? It's not. Mine either. And look, when they were dating and they got serious about it, I knew it was going to cause some friction
Sure.
because wrestlers are generally insecure, and that's amplified that their engagement and the subsequent marriage. So yeah, it was good piece of business actually.
On the same episode of SmackDown, speaking of good pieces of business, it's the big heat up for the big Boss Man program with Big Show. And mind you, we're 2 months away from Boss Man cooking Al Snow's dog and feeding it to him. But this story would involve Big Show's father passing away from cancer, and Boss Man would mock the death and even interrupt the funeral on this episode of SmackDown. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, I don't really know how to describe it, but Big Show enters the scene of where the funeral is taking place with the Big Show with a loudspeaker on top of the car lampooning Show and his father. He attacks him, and he will actually link the casket to the car and drive away, dragging Big Show's father, who is there for internment. Jim, this is one of these moments where, what are we watching? What did you think of this? What did Show think of this? And what did Boss Man think of this?
Well, you just lay out. In other words, you don't talk. I thought it was the shits. I didn't like it, quite frankly. I thought it was hokey, impossible to add any credence or credibility or any authenticity to it. It's just, it was so, this is me saying this now, so take a
Right.
consider the source. It was so pro wrestling. It stunk. And I thought it was just horrible. And I we did it, and they're still in business. Every idea is not going to be great. Every song,
Right.
some great songwriter writes, you pick up a damn album and look at something, unless you're the Eagles or somebody, or a long established group like Fleetwood Mac or someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you look on the back of the album, there's the hits are there. They got other music that they're putting out that you've never heard of. And this is one of those ones that would have been the last cut on an album. And we wish we had never heard of it.
Now,
So
there was some rumor in your window at the time that this was kind of a punishment to Show because of the big contract, the disappointing results. You think there's any credence to that, or is this just bad creative?
Derek, does it make any sense to fuck your own show to punish somebody? Here's how you punish Big Show. You fine his ass.
Right.
You lessen his bank account. That will get him or anybody else's attention, quite frankly. But goddamn, I hear that a lot. It doesn't make any sense.
It's funny because you look back and Big Show goes from cutting up a dog and feeding it to Al Snow, then dragging Big Show's dad. But Boss Man's pretty good in this role. Is he too good? Was he too much of a cartoon heel to really get the booze behind him?
An Academy Award-winning actor could not have pulled it off any better than the Big Show did, or both guys did good. But look what they're working with and how they feel about trying to make some legitimacy and get this over. They worked so hard to get it over, and they had some good moments verbally. There's no doubt about that. I'm not taking anything away from that. It was just a lousy idea to start with, and you can't shine shit.
Sure.
That's what those two guys are trying to do: shine shit at the cemetery, and that didn't work.
No, and they could have dogged it like you said, but they really put a lot of effort into it, and they didn't make it look like shit. But everything they were working with was shit, unfortunately.
Yeah, Conrad and I have talked about this. By the way, we just tuned in. Conrad's feeling poorly this week. I think he's worried about Alabama getting their ass whipped when they play Oklahoma this weekend. That's totally facetious. There's no fucking way. No way. My Sooners are going to pull this one out, I don't think. I'd love for them to. That'd be a huge win. They're playing in Oklahoma and Norman, and Alabama's hot, and they play with a purpose. So Conrad will be back with us sooner than later.
Sure.
We miss his jovial self. But anyway, I don't know where we were, but I'm
Big Show and Bossman buying into
Oh yeah,
doing a shitty gimmick.
I think we've talked enough about Big Show and Bossman. There's moments that I recall, and I can start thinking about details. And if I didn't like the segment to start with, all I do is piss myself off because I'm thinking about it again. And
Right.
this is one of those times. It should never have made TV. Put it on Smack. Maybe what was it on Raw? I think it was on Raw, wasn't it?
I was on SmackDown the same episode as Arnold Schwarzenegger bumping around Triple H.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, you did a good job on your research. I was there at the taping. Not. I might have been there when we filmed it. Seems like it might have been because it was hard to get everything to. You're pulling a casket of the car, and it ventured into a lot of areas where if it had been a Hollywood production, would have had a huge cast of techs and sound guys and lighting guys and all this stuff. But we didn't have that crew. Was cut way down and probably understaffed, quite frankly. But it was, yeah, it's one of those ones that it's like Triple H and the corpse.
Oh, Katie Vick.
Yeah, Katie Vick.
Yeah.
I could have done without that too.
Yep.
Not because the Triple H sucked at it. He didn't. He pulled it off better than anybody I know. He just said, "To hell with it. I'll do the best I can with this material," because you can't really change drastically the material. At the end of the day, it's got an eventual conclusion, and kind of tough. But anyway, yeah, we can move on now.
We're going to move on. Just like Big Boss Man did to Big Show's daddy, Blue Chew is what you need to rise from the dead. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you've approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part? It's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Does it work? Don't think you need it. Try it for a month and see. You're going to love it, and your partner's going to love it. You could be missing out on the best sex of your life, and with Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman, because when your package has arrived, They say there's nothing sexier than confidence. Blue Chew can give you the confidence where it counts. Blue Chew wants you to have the confidence to perform at your best, so discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code JR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code JR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Been with us since day one, has Blue Chew. They're loyal, good people. Their product works like a champion. Just really good stuff. And it's so simple. I like the chewables. They seem to get in your system a little quicker.
Just like vitamins.
Sometimes I don't plan ahead. Sometimes, some lady might just drop by the house, see what's going on. Or they want to sit on the
Gotta be ready.
Look at the beach, look at the ocean, whatever. So, but it's good. It's a real good product. They take a lot of pride in shipping, getting their stuff packed and shipped correctly. I like the fact this is a hell of a deal. You got a month free, and you only pay $5 for the shipping. That's more than fair. And if you're sitting at home wondering about Blue Chew, making a decision to buy, that's enough reason right there. And you mentioned about confidence. I'm 72, So I don't need anything to adversely affect my confidence. And so I don't associate with people that are pain in the asses to deal with. I'm not going to do it. And I want to have fun and enjoy my time, because tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody.
Correct.
So I'm a huge Blue Chew supporter. No jokes, please, or make them. I don't give a shit. But confidence is important, and it makes a big difference. So yeah, give them a try. All online. You can get this deal done, folks, in 5 minutes. Seriously.
Hopefully not the other deal, though.
No, no, of course not.
No.
But this is a good.
$5 shipping, first month free. BlueChew.com. Promo code JR checkout for your gimmick today. JR, we are now finally at the event. I'm going to gloss over some of it because I got to be honest with you, it's a fairly boring show. But one of the big moments is Kurt Angle's debut on pay-per-view defeating Sean Stasiak. Kurt comes out. He looks like $1,000,000. Did you know from the instant you saw him in the ring, this guy is a future top guy?
I probably knew it when I saw him train, because, as I said earlier, he transitioned from amateur wrestling and the greatness he achieved there by winning a gold medal in '76 or '96. I'm sorry, and everything was natural for him. So I felt like, and others concurred, that if we could keep him healthy and sane, he could be one of the greatest of all time. Because athletically speaking, and the physical contributions he's got to make to be great, he had. There's no jury out on that deal. So I think probably in training, I think he trained. I think I had him train with Tom. I know Tom Prichard, who does. Tom Prichard's one of the greatest trainers in the history of pro wrestling, period, and a good guy. So if you ever get the opportunity to work with Tom or train with Tom, whatever, don't pass that up. But we also had, I think we had Dory Jr. there at that time.
The dojo.
Yeah, and he has such a big reputation. And if your guys, and Kurt wasn't this way, because he wasn't a lifelong fan of pro wrestling. But if you get a recruit that's always been a fan, and they study a little bit, for God's sakes, put your phone down, please.
Yep.
And they respected Junior so much that he was a great coach, like Tom. So we had good coaches there. And this has not been talked about. Patterson would drop by every now and then, get in the ring, show a guy how to lock up the right way or things of that nature. The psychology, here's why that didn't work. And you got to do this. And Patterson was a great teacher and finish guy and all that stuff. So he was the best, man. I miss Pat, and he always loved the Christmas season. And when I lived in Norwalk, and my wife Jan was still flying as a flight attendant, I had a lot of nights where I didn't have anything to do.
Sure.
And so I go to Pat and Louie's house, and it's always right before dinner. They both were great cooks, and I got to experiment with a lot of interesting food. Cabbage rolls, homemade cabbage rolls. Well, shit, I'm from Oklahoma, man. We had cornbread and beans, but I don't know we ever had cabbage rolls. So things like that I got to experience. I remember sitting down in their basement, and they had a gay friend who was no, Louis did it. They had 4 or 5 of their gay friends over to their house, and we all walked down into the basement and turned this little light on. It had a string turn on, old school. and Louis gave me a haircut. And I think they may have played poker in that room. So we're sitting kind of at a round table, and everybody's surrounding the table. And I have my spot at the table, and I got my haircut. And I'm sitting there listening to all their stories, and they're laughing, and they're having fun, and all that. And Cowboy has always been outspoken on things along those lines. Politics, religion, whatever. He's just right there.
Sure.
And so I said to those guys, man, what if the Cowboy could see me now? Sitting surrounded by 4 gays, and they were great to me. All good guys. I learned a lot about how you treat people.
Right.
I'm sure there's some gay kids in my high school, which had graduated 50-something people. I guess I'd say that somewhere along the way there was gay kids coming out of that little Westville, Oklahoma high school. But I had a whole different opinion of it. That's like Ernie and helped me understand the psychology of black people in his eyes, his opinion. And he's a black man, and he was very notable and very influential. You know, a lot of those big forums that they had back then, where they'd have some of these great black leaders get together. You know, Ernie was always in those groups with Muhammad Ali and all those cats. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pat would help train, and from time to time, he just got bored sitting in the office, and he'd
Sure.
come over there. He'd come, and the other thing, Pat could come over to the warehouse, the dojo thing, and smoke. And he couldn't smoke in the tower. That was a big no-no.
I believe that.
I had Pat's old office, which is right adjacent to Vince's office. It was there were only 2 offices, as I understand it, that where you could open the windows in the whole building. How many floors it was? 7 or 8, 6? Hell, I don't know.
Mhm.
Big building. And so I had a window, and the reason I had a window, Linda McMahon told me that Vince did that for Pat because he wanted Pat to be available 24/7, that included his office time, and that way he could sit in his office and smoke if he wanted to, and just open the window. And Pat told me the same story. He concurred. I just felt so uncomfortable smoking because if Vince walked in, or
Right.
which he did a lot, he'd walk to my office and sit down, and we'd talk about things. And it was good times, really good
Yeah.
times. But Pat was a real valuable asset to WWE in more ways than just what he's talked about most.
Sure.
He had a real good feel and hand for working with these younger guys. Really good.
Speaking
really
of
good.
valuable assets, Steve Austin gets hit by a car in the middle of the pay-per-view and is taken out of the WWF, and he won't be back for another year. Steve's going to get his neck fixed. He's scheduled to be in the main event. Big Show is elevated then at that point to take his spot in the main event, the 3-way. Would you have rather? I was going to say
Theoretically, get prepared to take a spot.
right.
We'd already fucked up Big Show's entire presentation. That was mishandled day one.
Right. This goal was to get him a new start, and here's a big babyface push because now Steve's going away. It was very hard to just wipe it clean and try to go that route, was it not?
Well, yeah, it's never going to work. Did it work? No, it didn't work.
No.
It didn't work at all. And that's not on Big Show. It's on the fact
Right.
that Austin was so down over that people didn't want to settle for anything with Steve. He and I had a long talk one day about him turning heel. And I said, because I knew he would relate to this, it was like, it'd be like John Wayne turning heel. he's in an Army uniform, and he's out there in an isolated place, he and his fellow American soldiers, and all of a sudden he turns on the whole group and cuts them down with a machine gun or something. Who's gonna believe that shit?
Yeah.
They don't. Who would accept that? They want John Wayne to be a hero. They,
Right.
meaning the audience, throw down, boy. So fuck. It just makes sense. And we did that for him because I remember asking Mr. Vince, tell me what I'm missing here. I'm missing something because I don't get it. And I need to get it because I'm booking the towns and I'm doing the payoffs and all this other shit. And he said, we owe it to Steve,
Right,
to give it a try. We owe it to Steve because he was really wanting to be a heel.
yeah.
And so all of a
How do you say
sudden,
no to him, right?
what's that? Yeah, you
How do you
don't.
say no to him? Can't.
You don't. It's as simple as that's why you write with a pencil, not a pen.
Right.
It's easy to correct your booking or amend it or change it or start over with it. But yeah, I think Steve was just he was headstrong and hell bent on making it work and being so successful that it would never go unnoticed. Well, it didn't go unnoticed, but people didn't invest passionately in that characterization of Stone Cold as they did before the turn. So in other words, he was a much better babyface than a heel.
Yeah. When you look back 25 years between No Mercy and Survivor Series and Austin being injured and all the issues you dealt with, this has to be one of the more grueling time periods in your role and talent relations for the WWE, is it not?
Oh yeah, it's hard to going back and thinking about it. Yeah, because it spins. Excuse me, it spins off to a variety of meetings I had to have. The meetings after work, the meetings on the weekend, either with Vince or he'd say, "I want you to come over and help me look at some TV." Well, that's an all day deal now.
Right.
He's gonna want you over there about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and he'll bring food in so you eat through the lunch hour and the dinner hour, and we did that a lot, all the time. We did get into start leaving and going to a little grocery store near his house, a little deli, more specifically, homemade bread, fresh cut meats, really cool. They made the best macaroni salad since my grandma. God, boy, it was good. So anyhow, I love macaroni salad. So you never knew how long you're going to be there,
Right.
and that's what wore guys out. That's what killed Russo and Ferrara. They had to tap out.
Yeah.
Because they were spending all this time ad nauseum over and over again on these Raw shows. Now you're getting saddled with another 2-hour show. They can't use the Raw talent. It's just all that. So it was tough on those guys. I understand their apprehensions and their mental fatigue, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
It was horrible, horrific, as a matter of fact. So that's why I didn't. But I had the talent relations gig. I had it rolling with our team. Always a team effort, and
Absolutely.
so I wasn't really interested in adding a lot more almost full-time gigs to my plate.
Sure that. Well, what is not rolling is you're making an appearance this weekend, November 16th. JR is going to be at the Wrestling Classic 5 in Springfield, Massachusetts. For tickets and information, head over to zombie-hideout.com. He will be there Saturday, November 16th. Then AEW Full Gear is the next week in Newark, New Jersey. JR hopefully will be making an appearance. And then another appearance the week after, WrestleCade weekend in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Signing, taking pictures. Jim, you're going to have Jerry Lawler with you in Massachusetts. You're going to be around a bunch of people at WrestleCade. There is nothing you enjoy more than dealing with your fans and having everybody around you. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't want to bring anybody down, but let's be honest about this whole damn thing. JR and the King made an indelible impression on the pro wrestling business.
100%.
And thank you for agreeing with my ego. But really, we did. We were the voices that they heard, the images they saw in that role in the hottest period of pro wrestling. And and somebody's going to make a big deal of this. Well, JR's taking shots at WWE. That's the farthest thing from the truth. If you say that online, then all you're wanting to do is get attention, because that's bullshit. Total bullshit. But it's how many more opportunities are JR and the King going to have to make appearances together at our stage of life? Health issues. Jerry's health has been spotty, and his voice is not. His voice is a little weak. But I love doing appearances with him. And if we hear it one time in Springfield on Saturday, it'll be 100 times that we hear.
Yep.
You guys are the voices of my childhood. The voices of my, and said in that way, meaning that in a variety of ways, but all essentially it washes out. You guys are the voices of my childhood.
Absolutely.
And
don't miss
so
it. ZombieHideout.com. JR and King together again. And if your business targets 25 to 54-year-old men, there's no better place to advertise than right here with us on Grillin' JR. You've heard us do ads for some of the same companies for years. And why is that? Because it works. With our super targeted audience, there's very little waste. Go to advertisewithjr.com now and find out more about advertising with Grillin' JR. And we recently eclipsed 100,000 subscribers over at grillandjr.com. If you are part of our live audience today, we thank you so very much. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know when you can watch this podcast live as it's recorded on grillandjr.com. And Jim, before we go, holidays with JR's Barbecue, jrsbarbecue.com. If you buy one or more of JR's cocktail tumblers, you're giving them a hell of a deal. It's a free 12.2 ounce seasoning for each. 4 12-ounce seasonings are valued at $48. Where else are you getting $50 in world-class seasoning for buying 4 great tumblers for your booze or your warm drinks? Also spend $20 on anything in the store and add a free hot barbecue or Chipotle ketchup to your cart. Buy any 3 sauces, get one free by adding your choice to the cart. Is that too much? Buy one, get one half off the same way. No limit on uses for either offer. Use them together. Point is that you save money at jrsbbq.com. Isn't that right, Jim?
Oh yeah. The thing about that is our products make excellent holiday gifts, stocking stuffer type things. And Stephen Link, who runs the thing, my fellow Okie, I asked the tornado damage he's taking care of. That's the kind of guy he is. Blew a fence down. Always something, man, being a homeowner. But maybe for me, it was better than living in a mobile home in that area when those son bitches blew through. The National Weather Service is located in Norman. So they have the most advanced equipment. And so the weather people there have great resources in what to utilize to track these son of guns. And in other words, they knew it was coming, but there wasn't a damn thing they could do about it.
Right.
So it was just in and out. Unlike a hurricane, unlike that. You might get some rain, but that's about it. But the tornado comes through and it moves on through. Thank God. Yes. So anyway, Stephen Link runs that thing and takes a lot of special care in it. I know we've had customers, not many at all, that say, well, I ordered 2 weeks ago or something. Sometimes there's no way that we can be responsible for shipping. We can pack it well. We can use U.S. Postal Service or FedEx, whatever. But it should work out. It that's how it works out for me. Having good people around is a good thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're going to have specials from now through the holiday season. So, but it comes back to my original point. Don't be a prisoner to shipping. Get your orders in early. We'll get them to you early. You can gift wrap them, or you can put them in stock. You can stock and stuff for them, or whatever. Hand one to the mailman, or whatever it may be.
That's it.
But it's a good gift. It's a good gift, and people like to get food. Food gifts are always popular. And I got signed books, signed action figures.
Yes, sir.
So you can do a little holiday shopping at my spot if you want to, and we hope that you do.
Yep. And make sure you hit like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating on all the podcast platforms. Make sure you join us here at grillandjr.com. Make sure you follow JR at JR's BBQ on Twitter/X. Jim, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of the podcast today. And I hope to see you again soon. And next week, Conrad should be back with you.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I hope his health is better. You did a good job tonight, Derek. It's not
Thanks, sir.
easy, babysitting my ass. It's like herding chickens. Good luck with that. So I appreciate
I
you being here.
appreciate it.
We'll look for old Conrad coming back next week if he's able. I'm sure that he will be. And
Absolutely.
he'll be fine.
Make sure
Don't-
you
don't
follow
rule
us
it
here
out.
at GrillandJR on Twitter and Instagram, GrillandJR on Facebook. Keep up on all the social updates, and we will be back with you next week for another edition of Grillin' JR.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you like the live portion and how we're doing this now. The show's a little 2 hours long. Not bad. And but we appreciate you guys tuning in. Tell a friend about our show. Get them to the whole Facebook, Facebook, all that stuff. We got a lot of ways you can find us, a lot of ways you can see us and hear us, and get involved. We're about due to have another Q&A show.
That's true. It's coming up soon.
I like those. It's fun. So anyway, Derek, thanks a lot for the job you did tonight. I want to thank all you folks for watching, listening, whatever. And we'll see you right here next week on Grill and JR. Thanks.